It looked like Adam Silver has found himself in some serious hot water over the management of the WNBA, and is they faking ratings?
Adam Silver discovered this lesson the hard way. Don't tamper with Caitlin Clark's fame. His innocuous interview developed into a PR disaster, prompting him to retract his position more quickly than a poor referee call. According to sources, he is now essentially pleading with Caitlin to come back after her huge off-season agreement rocked the league. Should the WNBA applaud her or offer an apology? Adam Silver so anticipated having a pleasant, quiet week, doing a few interviews, discussing growth, perhaps using a few fancy buzzwords, and then moving on. Rather, he stepped right into the WNBA's worst debacle of the year. Furthermore, it seems appropriate to label it a chaos at this point, because as soon as he spoke about Caitlin Clark, things quickly became worse.
He stepped out and started talking about the crazy nonsense of a civil war that's going on between Iron Man or Iron Woman, Kathy Engelberg, and Captain America, Nafisa Collier, man.
Let's go back a little. It was intended for Silver's interview with NBC News to be a casual discussion about league expansion and leadership. Polish people typically discuss inclusivity and growth. However, he chose to discuss the WNBA's internal problems in between periods of historic expansion and goodwill. He stated the silent part aloud at that point. The WNBA has relationship problems in addition to economic ones. That statement was more powerful than a blatant insult because, to put it simply, he acknowledged what supporters had been demanding all season. From the inside out, the league is in ruins. Additionally, social media suddenly took off. Silver most likely believed he was being truthful at this point. However, in the world of public relations, being honest is like lighting a match in a pyrotechnics factory. Players began to give him the side eye. He was dragged by fans. And he was deemed the man who finally acknowledged that the WNBA is chaotic by the internet. The irony is that he wasn't even mistaken. The WNBA's issues outweighed Caitlin Clark's three-point performance. Every week, players shout out referees, bosses steer clear of interviews, and Kathy Engelbert somewhere acts as though nothing is wrong. However, when Silver brought up relationship problems, some assumed he was putting Kathy under the bus, which isn't entirely false, to be fair. Since he sounded like a manager who just discovered that one of his employees had damaged the corporate printer and is now attempting to restore it without terminating anyone, let's be honest. Naturally, he began by praising Kathy, stating that she had overseen historic expansion, but he quickly added, "We still have big relationship issues with players." So, Adam, which is it? Historic expansion or total detachment? When your players are threatening a lockout on social media, you cannot boast about your rocket ship success.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says Caitlin Clark has set the world on fire. Silver didn't reveal much about their brief conversation, but his admiration for Clark's achievements couldn't have been clearer. Speaking on FanDuel Sports Network, he said Caitlin Clark set the world on fire, not just this community. And it's easy to see why, from dominating college basketball at Iowa, where her famous number 22 jersey was retired, to becoming the first overall pick in the 2024 NBA draft, Clark has been unstoppable.
Now, let's recall why Silver's remarks offended many before we discuss the apologetic portion. The reason for this is that Caitlin Clark is more than just a player. She is the reason why the WNBA is currently receiving widespread media attention. The ratings increase each time she performs. Social media trends whenever she speaks. The internet generates 10 articles each time she even sneezes.
Just own up and step down. I believe that's what should happen. Kathy needs to just walk away. We're going off into the sunset. Well, the half bright sunset, I should say, because it ain't gonna be a good goodbye. But I feel like at this point she gonna have to step down. Stephen A. Smith said it last week, and I'm saying it right now.
Fans thought Silver was biting the hand that was bringing attention to his league when he gave his leadership speech and minimized her influence. To be honest, they were correct, because this is what was actually taking place in the background. Another huge off-season speaking contract for almost $500,000 per event was recently secured by Caitlin Clark. In essence, she is making money without ever touching a basketball. The league has been frantically trying to persuade people that they can live without her in the interim. Silver made an effort to appear assured by referring to the league's advancement as a rocket trajectory. Fans, however, didn't buy it because the talking points and the actual numbers don't line up. The following week, reports surfaced that the WNBA finals had doubled in viewership. Conveniently, however, Nielsen modified their viewership figure this year, now including random hotel TVs, bars, and airports. Indeed, the ratings appear to have improved, but only as a result of the formula being adjusted. Saying you're taller this year because you're wearing heels is equivalent to that. Supporters saw through it. They said that the league was falsifying the statistics to give the impression that Caitlyn wasn't the main attraction. At that point, Silver's remark about his relationship problems made matters worse because it seemed like he was shielding Kathy Angelberg rather than the gamers, particularly the one who initially enabled their evaluations. The hashtag took off in a matter of hours. Silver expressed regret to Caitlyn WNBA. Clean up the mess. How are you bragging about growth when your players don't even trust you? Was one of the things that even neutral supporters started posting. And, to be honest, they were right. The players are tired if you listen to them. On national television, Nneka Onwuemeke is criticizing the leadership. Sophie Cunningham making a suggestion about a potential lockout. Adam Silver, according to Candace Parker, texts her more compared to her own commissioner. The last one had a distinct hit. Candace disclosed on her podcast that Adam personally congratulated her on her retirement, Amazon agreement signing, and baby's birth. However, the sound you hear, Kathy Angelberg crickets, is the league's credibility crumbling. Even Sabrina admitted that she and Adam get along better than she does with Kathy. It shouldn't be feasible at all. In other words, supporters had already noticed through Silver's PR smile by the time he delivered his growth speech. Then the video became viral, in which he claimed that the issues were personal. Interpretation. Behind the scenes, everyone despises one another. It's similar to witnessing a business family gathering when the parents are grinning while the children are flinging food beneath the table. Just when you thought things couldn't get much worse, he brought up Caitlin Clark once more. He made an effort to sound impartial, but every phrase he used gave the impression that he was acting as though she wasn't the only one keeping the league relevant. That was not forgiven by the internet. The comments came pouring in. You ought to plead with Caitlin Clark to return, bro. Your ratings are hers. You're selling tickets to empty seats if Caitlyn isn't there. Adam Silver's statement about record progress without bringing up Caitlin Clark is similar to act as though Taylor Swift's own stadium did not sell out. It quickly became ugly. The crazy aspect is that Silver is aware of how awful this appears. He is among the most skilled sports commissioners. He doesn't typically make rookie PR errors, but he made a big mistake this time. According to league insiders, he has even been attempting to defuse the situation by calling Caitlyn's representatives and quietly repairing the damage. Apology trip to translate. He reportedly informed her that he appreciated her contributions to the sport and that his remarks had been misunderstood. He even made a suggestion that he would like to include her more in league choices. In other words, he is essentially pleading with her to refrain from doing what Tom Brady did and leaving to accomplish. Media full-time because, let's face it, Caitlyn no longer needs the WNBA with her offseason funds. Nike, Gatorade, State Farm, and 6 other companies are her sponsors. Her public speaking engagements are paying more than her full season's income. She could take a year off and still earn millions of dollars if she so desired. The league is currently afraid about that. Because it's all over if Caitlyn chooses to take a back seat, even for a short while. TV ratings plummet, merchandise sales decline, and attendance declines. She is more than a mere athlete. She combines the WNBA's fan base, PR team, and marketing division into one. Therefore, it's true when people say that Adam Silver is apologizing. Of course, he's not pleading on camera. However, he is genuinely attempting to keep her happy behind the scenes. And since it should be the other way around, it is absurd. Usually, the league needs the players, not the other way around. However, that is the extent of Caitlin Clark's current power. She has transformed the WNBA into a league that exists solely under one name, something it has never been. And to be honest, that is both amazing and terrifying. It demonstrates the power of a single superstar while also highlighting the system's vulnerability. Because that isn't a business strategy if your entire historical progress rests on one player remaining faithful. It's a risk. The funniest bit comes next. Adam Silver made an effort to conclude his conversation on a positive note. He said, "I'm confident we can fix these issues and keep this league on a rocket trajectory," grinning and staring directly into the camera. "That ship has already crashed, caught fire, and struck the moon, bro." Every fan who saw that clip thought it was amazing. Where is the chaos? Because the league's negative publicity is the only thing that is currently skyrocketing amid the player drama, the rating dispute, and the leadership implosion. And for that reason, the apology is taking place discreetly behind closed doors. Silver is aware that if Caitlin claps in public, return, the league's standing would suffer yet another severe blow. She need not even be cruel. One sardonic remark, one tweet, and headlines speak for themselves. Caitlin Clark criticizes the WNBA's leadership once more. He is attempting to prevent that from happening. Fans, however, are already noticing. They claim he's groveling to the player who unintentionally become his boss and brand him desperate. Because, let's face it, Adam Silver only discovered it too late and Caitlin Clark is currently in charge. Adam Silver's PR team must have gone into full emergency mode after his NBC interview went viral. He discusses relationships and growth 1 minute, and next he's being ridiculed on the internet for acting nobody is paying attention because of Caitlin Clark. To be honest, you can't hold people accountable for their actions. Because this is the reality. This year, the WNBA finally gained widespread recognition, and everyone is aware of who is responsible for it. Caitlin Clark brought more than just admirers. She introduced a whole new audience. Young girls, families, and even NBA fans who hadn't seen a women's game in years. She made appointment television out of a niche league. Therefore, it won't go down well when the man in charge of the NBA and WNBA casually discusses relationship problems rather than expressing gratitude to the player for sustaining his product. According to sources, Silver S has been attempting to patch things up with her because of this step behind closed doors. He realizes that losing Caitlin Clark, even in a symbolic sense, would be a PR catastrophe, so he sent messages through representatives attempting to mend that relationship. And if you believe this is overblown, consider what transpired after she was hurt. Instantly, viewership dropped. The cost of tickets decreased. Fans were no longer purchasing historical growth. Caitlin Clark was being purchased by them. This apology is important because of this. Although Silver is reluctant to say it in public, the WNBA would be like Netflix without Stranger Things without Caitlin. Although it exists in theory, no one is discussing it. The insane. The worst part is that Caitlin hasn't even mentioned him negatively. He is presumably even more anxious in silence from someone that's strong as hazardous, yet she has remained silent, elegant, and concentrated on her off-season work. She could use a single, well-chosen phrase to ruin Kathy Angelbert's career, if she so desired. Silver is aware of that. People claim that he is pleading with her to continue, giving her more influence over player relations, marketing, and future planning. But let's face it, Caitlin doesn't require titles or meetings. You can't purchase the type of influence she already possesses. An event sells out when she attends it. When she delivers, in other words, she receives over half of the league player's annual salary. She has turned into the WNBA's walking billboard. And that's precisely what the other players find frustrating. Because people are wondering, where's our support? While Silver is occupied with attempting to apologize to Caitlin. The gap is becoming more obvious every day. While veterans are requesting better travel and compensation on Instagram stories, Caitlin is featured on magazine covers. Adam Silver inadvertently acknowledged that issue. The league lacks unity. Furthermore, no amount of well-crafted press releases will address that until it changes. This is where the humor starts. Silver attempted to double down in a follow-up statement following all of this upheaval. He declared, I'm proud of our advancements and the amazing talent behind them. You mean Caitlin Clark, right? Fans asked right away. Like, hurry up. Everyone is aware of who he is referring to. No matter how much he tries to sugarcoat it, without just one name, there would be no historic growth. Perhaps, in all honesty, that is the lesson he is finally learning. Honor those who contribute to the relevance of your league. Because Caitlin will have choices after her contract expires. Endorsements, brand ambassadorships, and broadcasting. She could leave tomorrow without turning around. And the WNBA would go silent overnight if she ever did that. Adam Silver is in because of this stop mode of damage control. He is working to ensure the league's survival as well as its reputation. Because the WNBA is still pleading with networks for attention during this offseason, even while Caitlyn is earning six figures from speaking engagements. The difference speaks for itself. Therefore, the message is obvious whether or not the apology is accepted. Caitlyn Clark is far more important to the WNBA than she is to the league. Additionally, Silver may need to do more than simply apologize if he genuinely wants to show her how much he values her. He may need to address the system as a whole that is producing this instability. Because Caitlyn might simply cease answering calls one day. That's where we are now. Adam Silver is attempting to quell the commotion he caused while, without a word, Caitlyn Clark continues to accept checks and demonstrate her value. Do you believe she should just move on and concentrate on building her own brand, or should she accept his apology? Leave your comments below. For further updates on this story, please hit like and subscribe.